You can follow us each and every Thursday beginning 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time at proveitlive.com. We do this in webinar format, so check social media. We're sending links out where you can actually come on to the show, be there live, be able to ask questions, and all that kind of stuff. You can email us at info@proveitlive.com. Today's show, a little controversial. We're going to be talking about pitching, the always controversial pitching mechanics, pitching injuries, and I'm going to get into why no one really cares about injuries. So hold on to your hat. The show's going live right now.
Hey, everybody. Mike Frary here with the Farm BPI, along with my co-host Kevin McGovern and our own producer extraordinaire, Ryan Gagney.
Wait,
so we're going to
we hired a producer?
Yeah, hired.
We have no budget.
Hired. For listeners, you can't see my air quotes. Yep. So today we're going to continue down the path of arm action, arm path, arm angle, all of the above that we started in the last episode. It's a really interesting topic, and it's one that I think needs to be talked about a lot more because it's simply not talked about. It really isn't. So we're going to get into a few different things. One of the things is really cool, as I always so humbly proclaim that I'm forever a student in this game. I am. I just learned something new just by having a discussion with Kevin yesterday off air, which is really cool. And I think it's gonna make a lot of sense to anyone out there who is a thrower, is a baseball, softball player, or has a child who is a baseball or softball player in regards to throwing, and how what we do with our arm, the action, right? The arm path, the circle, whatever it is you want, however you want to describe it, how little intricacies in that motion can be injurious, and better yet, the ways to do it so that we can stay healthy. Now, Kev, if you don't mind, I'd like to kick it off. So, Jason here was on our podcast every single week. Jason is the father of one of our renegade softball players. He's also a coach in our program as well. And he just sent me a video, okay, of his daughter. And now, Jason, I don't know if you have the other one as well, but this one, Kevin, is of how old is Allie in this? I'm going to say she's probably 10 or 11 years old in this video. And she's doing reverse throws with, like, what is that? Oh, that's Jason put his mic on, I think. So can you mute that, Kevin?
So reverse throws, go ahead.
Reverse throws with it what appears to be like at least a 1 pound ball. It's got to be close. And she's, throwing it back with just all arm. This is a 10, 11-year-old girl. He also explained to me that one of the things that his name is Wasserman, and I know he's big in the softball throwing world. One of the other things that he does is he has these girls throw long distance with weighted balls.
Sure. Is there a way to put this video up on the screen? Can you share?
Let me see if I can share here.
So the answer to this is goes back, way back, and I mean way back. We all have children on this podcast. Many of us, hopefully, are listening, have children, and we know that the absolute very first picture that we've ever seen of our child, okay, the very first one isn't when they come out, hey, okay, it's the ultrasound, okay? And what do we see in that ultrasound? We see a head and a spinal cord, and if we're hoping for the next Babe Ruth, maybe we're looking for something else in that picture, okay? So that is the beginning of life, the neurological system of the body. We've got a brain and a spinal cord, okay? Just like a house would have the power coming into the house, which would be the brain, and it connects to the fuse box and then disseminates out to all the plugs. The body works exactly the same way, and it has to move exactly the same way. So how does that parlay into balls? Anything that we're doing distally, okay, that means anything attached to the torso of the body, and we're accelerating it distally without moving the core first, and that proximal to distal movement, it's just a matter of time before that movement causes injury, because we're violating this proper kinesiological sequence or kinematic sequence of movement.
So when you're talking about distally, just to be clear, right, you're talking about the extremities. You're talking about moving the arm independent of the torso, right, or the trunk, the core.
That's correct.
Right?
That's correct.
Right.
And I'll tell you another thing too. Okay, when we're in the throwing motion, okay, and really any motion, the rotator cuff is really designed to hold the ball into place so it doesn't fly off and hit the guy. I think I've said this, and we've said this, hit the guy in the front row eating popcorn, or in softball case, if we're throwing underhand, hit the guy in the upper deck. So when we're doing something with just the arm, we're promoting, in my opinion, deceleration or injury. And when we talk about throwing kind of backwards, I'd have to have someone really I'd have to have someone really explain how it's, one, not violating kinesiology, and two, how is it actually promoting what you're doing? Yeah. So if you can't answer those two questions, and you can't with this podcast, if you can't prove it live to me, those two questions, throw it out. It's bad.
So now, obviously, you know this better than I do, but if you correct me if I'm wrong. So the rotator cuff is made of a group of 4 small muscles, right? So, and I think, is it the supraspinatus? That's the only one that's really in the front. The rest are in the back, right? Okay.
Well, it's kind of on the top. So what the supraspinatus does, so it attaches to the head, the humerus, right? So think of a tug of war, right? A bunch of guys. First, the brain goes, oh, we're going to move, get to the shoulder, and the supraspinatus pulls the shoulder into its socket for the first 15 degrees of movement.
Okay.
And then the shoulder blade, what we call the scapulothoracic rhythm, say that 5 times fast. So what that is that, again, that's like a seesaw. As my arm is going up, that shoulder blade is depressing and rotating. So I clear this, we feel the top of our shoulder, we feel all bone. That's kind of where our collarbone and our shoulder blade meet. Okay, that makes like a tunnel. And we need to avoid banging into that tunnel.
Okay. So I have a couple of questions. So
sure.
The first one, now, well, let me back this up for a second and just say that the things
we're backing up,
right? And it's
gonna be a little
it's gonna be a little technical, but we're gonna try to. Kevin's going to try to keep it in his, if I say that's actual layman's terms, because that's what I am when it comes to kinesiology, right? But Kevin's going to try to keep it in sort of, non-technical terms as best we can, because it's really important to understand this. I think it's really important because, again, we're getting into the why, so, you have a kid, if you are a player, you have coaches, your kid has coaches, you got multiple coaches, and they're going to hear lots of things. Do this, do that, do it this way. Put this here, put your elbow here. And